Hare Krishna, someone can please lead the invocation prayers.
Hare Krishna. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnana-salakya Chakshur-unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamagyam Tadadi Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruve Shri Padam Vamalam Shri Guruve Vaishnavim Cha Shri Rupam Sagarajitam Savigana Raghunatham Tam Jivam Satvaitam Savadudam Varyana Savita Krishna Saitanya Deva Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagagana Lalita Sri Vishnu Vishagam Pajamta He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastude Sapta Kanchana Guruvangi Radha Vrindavaneshwari Rashabhanu Sudevi Pranamami Haripriye Panchakalpatarupya Kripa Sandhya Pivacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaurava Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Shri Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva.
Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. So we have finished unit number 18, covering chapters 20 to 23. Chapter 24 is a standalone chapter on Rudra Gita. This chapter 24 we'll cover in about 3 classes as almost 80 verses. For efficient use of time on the revision days, we will revise the unit 18 chapters plus chapter number 24 together in 2 sessions. So we will aim for unit 18 plus chapter 24 revisions on January 10th and 17th. Shivangi.
Prabhuji, are you going to prepare the revision spreadsheet in advance so we can?
Yeah. Sometime this week I will have the revision spreadsheet ready so you can pick up your slots.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So when Srila Narad Muni glorified Dhruv Maharaj at the sacrifice of Prachetas, hence Vidura inquired about Prachetas. So Maitreya Muni first described the life and character of Prithu Maharaj to build up to the discussion of Prachetas. And now Maitreya Muni will describe the genealogical line of Prithu Maharaj's dynasty to lead to the discussion of Prachetas. So if you go back to the slide for this canto 4, you will realize where we are. So the one highlighted in yellow is, you will see that Rudra Gita chapter 24 is a standalone chapter, and the conversation started long time ago about Prachetas. So you see Prachetas is the bottom, but Maitreya Muni described first from Dhruv Maharaj, then to Prithu Maharaj, then Prithu Maharaj's dynasty leading to Prachetas. So this is where we are right now. And as we discussed, you will realize all these characters and lead up to Prachetas. Chapter 24, end of 4, is titled Chanting the Song Sung by Lord Shiva, is divided into 4 parts. Part 1 is verses 1 to 15, genealogical line of Prithu Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can you repeat? Sorry, I didn't hear properly.
Part 1, verses 1 to 15, is genealogical line of Prithu Maharaj. Part 2, verses 16 to 32, the Prachetas meet Lord Shiva. Part 3, verses 33 to 68, Rudra Gita. Part 4, verses 69 to 79, how to chant the Rudra Gita and Falashruti. So the part 1, the first 15 verses are pretty straightforward with lot of names in Prithu Maharaj's dynasty. Shivangi?
Prabhuji, can you repeat part 3?
Yeah, part 3 is verses 33 to 68, Rudra Gita.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Shivangi will read verses 1 to 5 translations.
One minute, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, text 1. The great sage Maitreya continued. Vijitashva, the eldest son of Maharaja Prithu, who had a reputation like his father's, became emperor and gave his younger brothers different directions of the world to govern, for he was very affectionate towards his brothers. Maharaja Vijitashva offered the eastern part of the world to his brother Haryaksha, the southern part to Dhumrakesha, the western part to Vrika, and the northern part to Dravina. Formerly, Maharaja Vijitashva pleased the king of heaven, Indra, and from him received the title Antardana. His wife's name was Shikandini, and by her he begot 3 good sons. The 3 sons of Maharaja Antardana were named Pavaka, Pavamana, and Suchi. Formerly, these 3 personalities were the demigods of fire, but due to the curse of the great sage Vashishta, they became the sons of Maharaja Antardana. As such, they were as powerful as the fire gods, and they attained the destination of mystic yoga power, being again situated as the demigods of fire. Text 5. Maharaja Antardana had another wife named Nabaswati, and by her he was happy to beget another son named Haritana. Since Maharaja Antardana was very liberal, he did not kill Indra while the demigod was stealing his father's horse at the sacrifice.
So you will remember in the previous chapter when Indra stole the sacrificial horse from Prithu Maharaj's sacrifice, Prithu Maharaj's son ran behind Indra, means that was the son Vijitswa. He ran behind Indra, but because Indra appeared to be saintly, Vijitswa was liberal and did not kill Indra. Abhishek, verses 6 to 10 translations.
Hare Hare Krishna. Verse 6. Whenever Antardhana, the supreme royal power, had to exact taxes, punish his citizens, or fine them severely, he was not willing to do so. Consequently, he retired from the executing of such duties and engaged himself in the performance of different sacrifices. 7. Although Maharaj Antardhana was engaged in performing sacrifices because he was a self realized soul, he very intelligently rendered devotional service to the Lord, who eradicates all the fears of his devotees. By thus worshipping Supreme Lord, Maharaj Antardhana, wrapped in ecstasy, attained his planet very easily. Text 8. Harivardhana, the son of Maharaj Antardhana, had a wife named Harivardhani, who gave birth to 6 sons named Barishat, Gaya, Shukla, Krishna, Satya, and Jitavrata.
Read up to text 10, please.
Oh, sorry. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, Harivardhana's very powerful son named Barishat was very expert in performing various kinds of fruitive sacrifices, and he was also expert in the practice of mystic yoga. By his great qualification, he became known as Prajapati. Text 10. Maharaj Barishat executed many sacrifices all over the world. He scattered kusha grasses and kept the tops of the grasses pointed eastward.
Verse number 9 describes who are Prajapatis. That in the beginning of creation, there were not many living entities, and the very powerful living entities or demigods were appointed as Prajapatis to beget children and increase the population. So there are many Prajapatis, such as Brahmaji, Daksha, Manu. They are all also Prajapatis. And similarly, Barhisat, the son of Avirdhana, also became a Prajapati. Shalini, 11 to 15 translation.
Hare Krishna. Text 11. Maharaja Parhisat, henceforward known as Prachinabharhi, was ordered by the supreme demigod Brahma to marry the daughter of the ocean named Satadriti. Her bodily features were completely beautiful and she was very young. She was decorated with proper garments, and when she came into the marriage arena and began circumambulating it, the fire god Agni became so attracted to her that he desired her company, exactly as he had formerly desired to enjoy Sukhi. Text 12. While Satadriti was being married, the demons, the denizens of Gandharvaloka, the great sages, and the denizens of Siddhaloka, the earthly planets and Nagaloka, although highly exalted, were all captivated by the tinkling of her ankle bells. Text 13. King Prachinabhari begot 10 children in the womb of Satadriti. All of them were equally endowed with religiosity, and all of them were known as the Prachetas. Text 14. When all these Prachetas were ordered by their father to marry and beget children, they all entered the ocean and practiced austerities and penances for 10,000 years. Thus they worshipped the master of all austerity, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 15. When all the sons of Prachinabharhi left home to execute austerities, they met Lord Shiva, who, out of great mercy, instructed them about the absolute truth. All the sons of Prachinabhari meditated upon the instructions, chanting and worshipping them with great care and attention. Hare Krishna.
Right, so the 10 Prachetas are the sons of Prachinabhari. Prachinabhari is same as Barisad. So some, like there are so many names coming up. Some are relevant in subsequent discussions. And I will point, but as we go along, they also get clarified. In verse number 14, Prabhupada describes what is the deciding factor to judge the success of austerities and penances. Shalini, verse 14, purport, paragraph number 1.
Hare Krishna. Sometimes great sages and ascetics enter the Himalaya mountains in order to find seclusion from the turmoil of the world. It appears, however, that all the Prachetas, the son of Prachinabhari, entered the depths of the ocean to perform austerity in a secluded place. Since they performed austerities for 10,000 years, this incident took place in the Satyuga, when people used to live for 100,000 years. It is also significant that by their austerity, they worshipped the master of austerity, Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one wants to perform austerities and penances in order to attain the supreme goal, one must attain the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one achieves the favor of the Supreme Lord, it is to be understood that he has finished all kinds of austerities and penances and has attained efficiency in their execution. On the other hand, if one does not attain the perfect stage of devotional service, all austerities and penances actually have no meaning, for without the Supreme Lord, no one can attain the highest results derived from performing them. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 5.29, Lord Krishna is the master of all penances and sacrifices, Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam, Sarvalokam Maheshwaram. Thus, the desired result of performing austerities may be derived from Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna.
So Prabhupada explains that if one achieves the favor of the Supreme Lord, then you can understand that he has finished all kinds of austerities and penances and has attained perfection in the execution of austerities. Or if one does not attain the perfect stage of devotional service, these austerities and penances have no meaning, because without Supreme Lord, no one can attain the highest results derived from performing these austerities and penances. Verse number 15 describes what is perfect meditation and the secret of success. Basically, the answer is by always meditating on the order of Supreme Lord or his representative spiritual master is the perfect meditations. For us, while we are in this body, instructions of spiritual master, that's what we should meditate upon. And that is perfect meditation. Chandran Prabhu, verse 15 purport.
Hare Krishna. Text 15 purport. It is clear that to perform austerities or penances, or for that matter, any form of devotional service, one has to be guided by a spiritual master. Here, it is clearly stated that the 10 sons of Maharaja Prachinabhari were favored by the appearance of Lord Shiva, who out of great kindness gave them instructions regarding the execution of austerities. Lord Shiva actually became the spiritual master of the 10 sons, and in turn his disciples took his words so seriously that simply by meditating upon his instructions, they became perfect. This is the secret of success. After being initiated and receiving the orders of the spiritual master, the disciple should hesitatingly think about the instructions or orders of the spiritual master and should not allow himself to be disturbed by anything else. This is also the verdict of Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura, who, while explaining the verse of Bhagavad Gita, Vyavasya Vyavasyat Nika Buddhir Ikeha Guru Nandana. Bhagavad Gita 2.41 points out that the order of spiritual master is the life substance of the disciple. The disciple should not consider whether he is going back home, back to Godhead. His first business should be to execute the order of the spiritual master. Thus, a disciple should always meditate on the order of the spiritual master, and that is perfectional meditation. Not only should he meditate upon the order, but he should find out the means by which he can perfectly worship and execute it. Hare Krishna.
So, Lord Shiva became the spiritual master of the 10 sons of Prachinabhari, the Prachetas. And in turn, the disciples, the Prachetas, took his word so seriously that simply by meditating upon the spiritual master's instructions, they became perfect. This is the secret of success. After getting initiated and getting the orders of spiritual master, the disciple should think about these instructions or orders of spiritual master and should not allow himself to be disturbed by anything else. The disciple should not consider whether he is going back home, back to Godhead. Rather, the disciple's first business should be to execute the order of spiritual master. The disciple should always meditate on the order of spiritual master, and this is perfect meditation. Not only meditate on the order, but the disciple should find means by which can perfectly worship and execute the orders. Questions, comments, realizations? So as I said, the first 15 verses are straightforward, the genealogical order of Prithu Maharaj. Similarly, the next almost 15 verses, which is part 2, a little more than 15 verses, part 2, verses 16 to 32, the Prachetas meet Lord Shiva. These are also straightforward verses. We'll discuss important points from the purports. In verse number 16 and 17, Vidura asks 2 questions. Mother Jija, 16-17 translation.
Translation, verse 16. Vidura asked Maitreya, "My dear Brahmana, why did the Prachitas meet Lord Shiva on the way? Please tell me how the meeting happened, how Lord Shiva became very pleased with them, and how he instructed them. Certainly, such talks are important, and I wish that you please be merciful upon me and describe them." Text 17. The great sage Vidura continued, "O best of the Brahmanas, it is very difficult for living entities engaged within this material body to have personal contact with Lord Shiva. Even great sages who have no material attachment do not contact him, despite their always being absorbed in meditation to attain his personal contact." Hare Krishna.
So question 1 is, question 1 is, what did Lord Shiva being pleased speak when the Prachetas met him. And question 2 is, how did the Prachetas get Lord Shiva's rare darshan? And it will get answered as we discuss the verses. Verse number 17 describes that in Kali Yuga, on the instruction of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shiva actually appeared as Sankaracharya to preach Mayavad philosophy. You can actually read the purport now for verse number 17, where this point is described, that how Shiva appeared to preach Mayavad philosophy. Mother Jija, 17 purport.
Purport. Since Lord Shiva does not incarnate himself unless there is some special reason, it is very difficult for an ordinary person to contact him. However, Lord Shiva does descend on a special occasion when he is ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this regard, it is stated in the Padma Purana that Lord Shiva appeared as a Brahmana in the age of Kali to preach the Mayavad philosophy, which is nothing but a type of Buddhist philosophy. It is stated in Padma Purana, Mayavadam ascha chastram prachananam Bauddham uchyate Mayavya vihitam devi Kalau Brahmana Murtina. Lord Shiva, speaking to Parvati Devi, foretold that he would spread the Mayavad philosophy in the guise of a sannyasi Brahmana just to eradicate Buddhist philosophy. This sannyasi was Sripada Shankaracharya. In order to overcome the effects of Buddhist philosophy and spread Vedanta philosophy, Sripada Shankaracharya had to make some compromise with the Buddhist philosophy, and as such, he preached the philosophy of monism, for it was required at that time. Otherwise, there was no need for his preaching Mayavad philosophy. At the present moment, there is no need for Mayavada philosophy or Buddhist philosophy, and Lord Chaitanya rejected both of them. This Krishna conscious movement is spreading the philosophy of Lord Chaitanya and rejecting the philosophy of both classes of Mayavadi. Strictly speaking, both Buddhist philosophy and Shankara's philosophies are but different types of Mayavad dealing on the platform of material existence. Neither of these philosophies has spiritual significance. There is spiritual significance only after one accepts the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, which culminates in surrendering unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Generally, people worship Lord Shiva for some material benefit, and although they cannot see him personally, they derive great material profit by worshipping him. Hare Krishna.
Questions, comments, realizations so far?
Prabhuji, generally, people used to say, and I realized, Srimata Shankaracharya is the incarnation of Lord Shiva. But the purpose for which he has taken that divine Rupa, today only I understand to teach this philosophy.
Yeah, and this
Thank
will
you.
will get clarified in the next verse, that although Shiva came as Sankaracharya to preach Mayavad philosophy, and in the next verse we'll soon read, Prabhupada explains that towards the end, Shankaracharya goes on to explain Vaishnava philosophy because he's still Shiva, he's still a Vaishnava. Uncle will read 1819 translation.
Hare Krishna. Text 18. Lord Shiva, the most powerful demigod, second only to Lord Vishnu, is self-sufficient, although he was nothing to aspire for the material world. For the benefit of those in the material world, he is always busily engaged everywhere and is accompanied by his dangerous energies like the goddess Kali and the goddess Durga. Text 19. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, because of their pious nature, all the sons of Prachinabhari very seriously accepted the words of their father with heart and soul. And with these words on their heads, they went toward the west to execute their father's order. Hare Krishna.
So in verse number 18 purport, Prabhupada describes that towards the end, Shankaracharya preached the Vaishnava philosophy. Uncle will read 18 purport, paragraph 1 and 2.
Hare Krishna. Purport 18. Lord Shiva is known as the greatest devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is known as the best of all types of Vaishnavas. Vaishnava Vyata Sambhu. Consequently, Lord Shiva as Vaishnava Sampradaya, the disciplic succession known as the Rudra Sampradaya. Just as there is a Brahma Sampradaya coming directly from the Lord Brahma. The Rudra Sampradaya comes directly from Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is one of the 12 great personalities as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 6.3.20. Swayambhu Narada Sambhu Kumaram Kapila Manu Prahlado Janako Bhishmo Bali Vaishya Sakir Vayam. These are 12 great authorities in preaching God consciousness. The name Sambhu means Lord Shiva. His disciplic succession is also known as Vaishnavami Sampradaya, and the current Vaishnavami Sampradaya is also known as Vallabha Sampradaya. The current Brahma Sampradaya is known as the Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya. Even though Lord Shiva appeared to preach Mayavati philosophy, at the end of his pastimes in this form of Shankaracharya, he preached the Vaishnava philosophy. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. Mutamade. He started worshipping Lord Krishna or Govinda. The 3 times in this verse, and he especially warned his followers that they could not possibly achieve deliverance or mukti simply by word jugglery or grammatical puzzles. If one is actually serious to attain mukti, he must worship Lord Krishna. That is Sripada Shankaracharya's last instruction. Herein, it is mentioned that Lord Shiva is always accompanied by his material energy, Shakti warrior. Material energy, goddess Durga or goddess Kali, is always under his control. Goddess Kali and Durga serve him by killing the asuras or demons. Sometimes Kali becomes so infuriated that she indiscriminately kills all kinds of asuras. There is a popular picture of Goddess Kali in which she wears a garland composed of the heads of the asuras and holds in her left hand a captured head, and in her right hand a great khadga or chopper. For killing asuras, great wars are symbolic representations of Kali's devastation of the asuras and are actually conducted by the goddess Kali. Trishti, Srishti, Paralya, Sadhana, Shakti, Eka. Brahma Samhita 5.44. Asuras tried to pacify the goddess Kali or Durga by worshipping her in material opulence. But when the Asuras become too intolerable, the goddess Kali does not discriminate in killing them wholesale. Asuras do not know the secret of the energy of Lord Shiva, and they prefer to worship the goddess Kali or Durga or Lord Shiva for material benefit. Due to their demonic character, they are reluctant to surrender to Lord Krishna, as indicated Bhagavad Gita 7.15.
Okay.
Now, yes, Prabhuji.
So we read that finally Shiva, or in the appearance of Shankaracharya, preached Vaishnava philosophy, because ultimately he is a Vaishnava. Gopal has a question.
No, Prabhu, I was just going to say that Bhaja Govindam composed by Shankaracharya is very famous and it's all played in all the Vaishnava temples
Yeah.
in South.
Yeah, very
Even
good.
I have also grown up listening to it every now and then.
Very good. Questions, comments, realizations? All right. So now verse
Prabhuji,
number. Yeah.
this chapter is a great revelation. Many things we are not at all aware, but mechanically following.
Yeah. Yeah, you are absolutely correct that many just follow for the sake of following. And there is a difference between religion and spirituality. So at least Shivangi and Chandran Prabhu's heard about this at the last class. Anyone interested can listen to the recording, the last batch 3 of a class, or tomorrow's batch 5 class. It's actually very surprising that two devotees, one devotee from batch 3 and 4 and another devotee from batch 5, these two devotees don't know each other. They are in completely two different countries, and they both asked almost simultaneously the exact same question, that what is the difference between religion and spirituality. It's a pretty long answer for about 30 minutes. You can listen to the recording or attend tomorrow's class, Sunday's class, batch 5, where I will answer this same question again. Yeah, so religion is that people are just following a ritual without knowing, why am I following a ritual? So yes, you are correct that Bhagavatam is taking us on the path of spirituality. And Krishna did not ask even Arjuna that blindly follow what I told you. No, after giving all the instructions in 18.63 Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna, now deliberate on this philosophy and do as you please. So we have free will, so we have to use it properly. Very good. Verses 20 to 23 are straightforward description of a beautiful lake. Mother Chandra Aunty, 20 to 23 translations.
Text 20. While traveling, the Prince happened to see a great reservoir of water which smelled almost as big as the oceans, which seemed almost as big as the ocean. The water of this lake was so calm and quiet that it seemed like the mind of a great soul, and its inhabitants, the aquatics, appeared very peaceful and happy to be under the protection of such a watery reservoir. Text 21. In that great lake, There were different types of lotus flowers. Some of them were bluish, and some of them were red. Some of them grew at night, some in the day, and some like the div, div, divira, divara lotus flower in the evening. Combined together, the lotus flowers filled the lake so full that the lake appeared to be a great mine of such flowers. Consequently, on the shores there were swans and cranes, kakravaka, karandeva, and other beautiful water birds standing about. Text 22. There were various trees and creepers on all sides of the lake, and they were mad bumblebees humming all about them. The trees appeared to be very jolly due to the sweet humming of the bumblebees and the saffron, which was contained in the lotus flowers, was being thrown into the air. These are created such an atmosphere that it appeared as though a festival were taking place there. Hare Krishna. 23rd. Text 23. The son of the king became very much amazed when they heard vibration from various drums and kettle drum, along with other orderly musical sounds pleasing to the ear. Hare Krishna.
So straightforward verses. And now Lord Shiva arrives and he is pleased with Prachetas. We will soon read why Lord Shiva is pleased. Our dear Aditi, Kalyani or Sridhar Prabhu, 24 to 26 translation.
Oh, I had a question.
Yeah.
The Mansarovar described here, is it the current Kailash Mansarovar that everybody talks about? To me, it sounds like that, that's why.
So understand that there is Kailash in the spiritual world and then there is Kailash in the material world. So there will be similarities because they are replica. So it probably is correct what you are referring to, that the description is very much similar, but it's a replica. Gopal.
Thank you.
Sridhar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. The Prachetas were fortunate to see Lord Shiva, the chief of the demigods, emerging from the water with his associates. His bodily luster was just like molten gold. His throat was bluish, and he had 3 eyes, which looked very mercifully upon his devotees. He was accompanied by many musicians who were glorifying him. As soon as the Prachetas saw Lord Shiva, they immediately offered their obeisances in great amazement and fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord. Text 26 translation. Lord Shiva became very pleased with the Prachetas because generally Lord Shiva is the protector of pious persons and persons of gentle behavior. Being very much pleased with the princess, he began to speak as follows.
Straightforward that he is pleased, and this discussion will continue in next verse. So verse 27 describes Shiva is pleased because Lord Shiva knows Prachetas are going to worship the Supreme Lord, and describes why Krishna's devotees do not need to ask benedictions from demigod. Sridhar Prabhu, continue. 27 translation and purport.
Translation. Lord Shiva said, "You are all the sons of King Prachina Barhi, and I wish all good fortune to you. I also know what you are going to do, and therefore I am visible to you just to show my mercy upon you." Purport. By these words, Lord Shiva indicates that what the princes were going to do was known to him. It is a fact that they were going to worship Lord Vishnu by severe austerities and penances. Knowing this fact, Lord Shiva immediately became very pleased, as apparent by the next verse. This indicates that a person who is not yet a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead but who desires to serve the Supreme Lord receives the benedictions of the demigods, headed by the chief demigod Lord Shiva. Thus, the devotee of the Lord does not need to try to please the demigods separately. Simply by worshipping the Supreme Lord, a devotee can please all of them, nor does he have to ask the demigods for material benedictions. For the demigods, being pleased with the devotee, automatically offer him everything that he needs. The demigods are servants of the Lord, and they are always prepared to help a devotee in all circumstances. Therefore, Srila Bilvamangala Thakura said that if one has unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Lord, the goddess of liberation is ready to serve him, to say nothing of the gods of material opulences. Indeed, all the demigods are simply waiting for an opportunity to serve the devotee. Thus, there is no need of a devotee of Krishna to endeavor for material opulence or liberation. By being situated in the transcendental position of the devotional service, he receives all the benefits of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Hare Krishna.
So Shiva is pleased because he says, I know what you are going to worship. You are going to worship Lord Vishnu by severe austerities and penances, and therefore I have become visible to you just to show my mercy upon you. So this is the reason why Lord Shiva was pleased with the Prachetas. And this indicates that a person or a devotee who is not yet a devotee of the Supreme Lord, but who desires to serve the Supreme Lord, immediately receives benedictions from demigods headed by the chief of demigods, Lord Shiva. And therefore, the devotee of the Lord does not need to try to please the demigods separately. Simply by worshipping the Lord, a devotee can please all of them. The demigods are pleased, and as soon as the demigods are pleased, they automatically offer the devotee everything that he needs. Demigods are servants of the Lord, and they are prepared to help a devotee. Therefore, there is no need for a devotee of Krishna to endeavor separately for material opulences or liberation. The devotee, being in transcendental position, receives all the benefits of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Bilva Mangal Thakur gives an analogy we read. Questions, comments, realizations?
Prabhuji, we have learned earlier also the same stance that no need to pray demigods separately. Once you pray the Supreme Personality of Godhead, automatically you will be awarded all the benefits that is. So this is a reinforcement again.
Yeah, you are correct. Very good. Very good hearing with rapt attention. All right. Abhishek Prabhu, 28 translation.
Text 28. Lord Shiva continued, any person who is surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, the controller of everything, material nature as well as the living entity, is actually very dear to me.
There's continuing. There is reasoning that Krishna's devotees are very dear to Shiva. In this verse number 28 purport, Prabhupada explains karma arpanam and why karma arpanam is considered fruitive activity. So the karmis who offer the results of their activities to Lord Vasudev, this is called karma arpana. And these are called fruitive activities because for the karmis, they think Lord Vishnu to be one of the demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma or others. Because the karmis consider Lord Vishnu to be on the same level with the demigods, they contend that surrendering to demigods is as good as surrendering to Vasudev. Now, Lord Shiva has denied this fact. Otherwise, Lord Shiva would have said that surrender to me or to Lord Vasudev or to Vishnu or Brahma, they are all same. No, Lord Shiva did not say this. The conclusion, he goes on to say that a devotee of Lord Shiva is not dear to Lord Shiva. Rather, a devotee of Krishna is very dear to Lord Shiva. Everybody on the same page? Did I say? What's the difference between devotee of Shiva and devotee of Krishna?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I can try, Prabhu. So here it is said that a devotee of Lord Shiva, Lord Shiva considers a devotee of Krishna to be more superior than a devotee who worships Lord Shiva, Prabhu.
Very good. Lord Shiva's own devotees, he is not pleased because they appear or they ask for material benedictions. They don't ask for spiritual benedictions. Therefore, he is not pleased with the disciples of his own self. But devotees of Krishna, Shiva is very pleased because devotees of Krishna are focused on spirituality, not material gains. Now, verse number 29 describes the qualifications to occupy the post of Brahmaji, as well as that how do you approach Lord Shiva to attain spiritual planets. Shivangi, 29, translation plus purport.
Translation. Hare Krishna. A person who executes his occupational duty properly for 100 births becomes qualified to occupy the post of Brahma, and if he becomes more qualified, he can approach Lord Shiva. A person who is directly surrendered to Lord Krishna or Vishnu in unalloyed devotional service is immediately promoted to the spiritual planets. Lord Shiva and other demigods attain these planets after the destruction of this material world. Purport. This verse gives an idea of the highest perfection of the evolutionary process. As described by the Vaishnava poet Jayadeva Goswami, Pralaya Payodi Jale Tritavan Asivedam. Let us begin tracing the evolutionary process from the point of devastation, Pralaya, when the whole universe is filled with water. At that time, there are many fishes and other aquatics, and from these aquatics evolve creepers, trees, etc. From these, insects and reptiles evolve, and from them birds, beasts, and then human beings, and finally civilized human beings. Now the civilized human being is at a junction where he can make further evolutionary progress in spiritual life. Here it is stated Swadharma Nishtaha, that when a living entity comes to a civilized form of life, there must be Swadharma, social divisions according to one's work and qualifications. This is indicated in Bhagavad Gita 4.13. Chaturvanyam maya shristam karma vibhagashah. According to the three modes of material nature and the work ascribed to them, the four divisions of human society were created by me. In civilized human society, there must be the divisions of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, and everyone must properly execute his occupational duty in accordance with his division. Here it is described Swadharmanishtaha, that it does not matter whether one is a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra. If one sticks to his position and properly executes his particular duty, he is considered a civilized human being. Otherwise, he is no better than an animal. It is also mentioned herein that whoever executes his occupational duties for dharma for 100 births, for instance, if a Brahmana continues to act as a Brahmana, becomes eligible for promotion to Brahmaloka, the planet where Lord Brahma lives. There is also a planet called Shivaloka or Sadashivaloka, which is situated in a marginal position between the spiritual and material worlds. If, after being situated in Brahmaloka, one becomes more qualified, he is promoted to Sadashivaloka. Similarly, when one becomes even more qualified, he can attain the Vaikuntha Lokas. The Vaikuntha Lokas are targets for everyone, even the demigods, and they can be attained by a devotee who has no desire for material benefit. As indicated in Bhagavad Gita 8.16, one does not escape material miseries even if he is elevated to Brahmaloka. Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punar Avartino Arjuna. Similarly, one is not very safe even if he is promoted to Shivaloka because the planet of Shivaloka is marginal. However, if one attains Vaikuntha Loka, he attains the highest perfection of life and the end of evolutionary process. Mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. In other words, it is confirmed herein that a person in human society who has developed consciousness must stick to Krishna consciousness in order to be promoted to Vaikuntha Loka or Krishna Loka immediately after leaving the body. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti soarjuna. Bhagavad Gita 4.9. A devotee who is fully Krishna conscious, who is not attracted by any other loka or planet, including Brahma Loka and Shiva Loka, is immediately transferred to Krishna Loka, Mamiti. That is the highest perfection of life and the perfection of the evolutionary process.
So someone who executes his occupational duties for 100 births, executes perfectly, then he becomes qualified to be interviewed for the post of Brahmaji. Yeah, it still is Krishna's decision. He's just shortlisted. And if then one becomes more qualified, he can then approach Lord Shiva. And somebody who has reached Brahmaloka, he qualifies then to be promoted to Sadashiva Loka. Then more qualified, he becomes qualified to attain Vaikuntha Loka. And Prabhupada says for a devotee who is surrendered to Lord Krishna via unalloyed devotional service, he is immediately promoted to the spiritual planet. He does not have to go through the via route. Shivangi.
Just a question. Why is it said here that even going to Shiva Loka or Sadashiva Loka is not safe? It says that in the pulpit.
So Sadashiva Loka, and this is described in Canto 2 towards the end or beginning of Canto 3, that those who go to Brahmaloka, if they worship Brahmaji independently, that Brahmaji is the Supreme Lord, then at the end of 100 years of Brahmaji, when full pralaya happens, Brahmaji will go to spiritual world, but these people or these devotees who do not know about the Supreme Lord, they will not go to spiritual world. And if somebody worships Brahmaji as the devotee of Supreme Lord, then they will also go to spiritual world with Brahmaji when Pralaya happens. Now, Sadashiva is unique. Generally, those who worship Shiva in the material world, they don't know anything more beyond the demigods. But Sadashiva, worshippers of Sadashiva, they are more focused on knowing the Supreme Lord as the Supreme Lord. So I've shown you visuals that Sadashiva planet is the in-between planet between spiritual and material worlds. Half of Sadashiva is dark and half of Sadashiva is glowing by being in the spiritual world. So there are very few followers of Sadashiva, and generally they worship Sadashiva as the greatest Vaishnava, as the greatest devotee. Therefore, there is high likelihood that they will attain spiritual worlds. Shivangi, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, but it also says it's not completely safe to go there. So I was just curious why it says that. Because his planet is not in the material world, right?
So like half the planet is in the material world, right?
Okay.
Not the full Sadashiva planet.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
All right. Verse number 30 describes the relationship between Lord Vishnu's devotees and Lord Shiva. I forgot Gopal earlier. Gopal, 30 translation and purport.
Hare Krishna, text 30 translation. You are all devotees of the Lord, and as such, I appreciate that you are as respectable as the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. I know in this way that the devotees also respect me and that I am dear to them. Thus, no one can be as dear to the devotees as I am. Purport. It is said, Vaishnavam Yata Sambhu. Lord Shiva is the best of all devotees. Therefore, all devotees of Lord Krishna are also devotees of Lord Shiva. In Vrindavana, there is a Lord Shiva temple called Gopishwara. The Gopis used to worship not only Lord Shiva, but Katyayani, that is Durga, as well. But their aim was to attain the favor of Lord Krishna. The devotee of Lord Krishna does not disrespect Lord Shiva, but worships Lord Shiva as the most exalted devotees of Lord Krishna. Consequently, whenever a devotee worships Lord Shiva, he prays to Lord Shiva to achieve the favor of Krishna, and he does not request material profit. In Bhagavad Gita 7.20, it is said that generally people worship demigods for the same material profit. Kamais tais hirita jnana. Driven by material lust, they worship demigods, but a devotee never does so, for he is never driven by material lust. There is a difference between a devotee's respect for Lord Shiva and the asura's respect for him. The asura worships Lord Shiva, takes some benediction from him, misuses the benediction, and ultimately is killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who awards him liberation. Because Lord Shiva is a great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he loves all the devotees of the Supreme Lord. Lord Shiva told the Prachitas that because they were devotees of the Lord, he loved them very much. Lord Shiva was not kind and merciful only to Prachitas. Anyone who is devotee of the Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead is very dear to Lord Shiva. Not only are the devotees dear to Lord Shiva, but he respects them as much as he respects the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, devotees of the Supreme Lord also worship Lord Shiva as the most dear devotee of Lord Krishna. They do not worship him as a separate personality of Godhead. It is stated in the list of Nama Aparatas, Apartas, that it's not an offense to think that chanting of the name Hari and the chanting of Hara or Shiva are the same. The devotees must always know that Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord Shiva is his devotee. The devotee should be offered respect to the level of Supreme Personality of Godhead, and sometimes even more respect. Indeed, Lord Rama, the Personality of Godhead himself, sometimes worshipped Lord Shiva. If a devotee is worshipped by the Lord, why should a devotee not be worshipped by other devotees on the same level with the Lord? This is the conclusion. From this verse, it appears that Lord Shiva blesses the asuras simply for the sake of formality. Actually, he loves one who is devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
So Shiva is best of all devotees. Therefore, all devotees of Krishna are also devotees of Lord Shiva. A devotee of Krishna does not disrespect Lord Shiva, rather worships Lord Shiva as the most exalted devotee of Krishna. Whenever a devotee worships Lord Shiva, he prays to Lord Shiva to achieve the favor of Krishna and not for material benefit. This is why Shiva is pleased by devotees of Krishna and not pleased by his own devotees. And this is the difference between devotees' respect of Shiva and Asura's respect for Shiva. Because Shiva himself is the great devotee of Supreme Lord, therefore Shiva loves all devotees of Supreme Lord. And similarly, devotees of Supreme Lord also worship Shiva as the most dear devotee of Krishna. The devotees of Krishna do not worship Shiva as a separate personality of Godhead. And the last statement in the purport is strong, that Shiva blesses the asuras simply for the sake of formality. Shiva actually loves one who is beyond, who is devoted to Supreme Personality of Godhead. Verses 31, 32 are straightforward. Chandran Prabhu, 31, 32 translations.
Hare Krishna. Text 31. Now I shall chant one mantra which is not only transcendental, pure and auspicious, but is the best prayer for anyone who is aspiring to attain the ultimate goal of life. When I chant this mantra, please hear it carefully and attentively. Text 32. The great sage Maitreya continued, out of his costless mercy, the exalted personality Lord Shiva, a great devotee of Lord Narayana, continued to speak to the king's son, who were standing with folded hands. Hare Krishna.
Questions, comments, realizations on the first two parts of this chapter?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Just one thing came to my mind is like Lord Shiva clearly says that for him, his devotee is not as dear to a devotee who is, devoted to Lord Krishna. But still in India, there are so many people who still, pray to Lord Shiva as the Supreme Prabhu. Just one comment.
Yeah. So those who are blind with material desires, Krishna has clearly explained in Bhagavad Gita chapter 7 that those who want quick results, they worship demigods, including Shiva. Yeah, and they are all in ignorance of reality, and therefore they are on a wrong track. Spiritual endeavor questions. So verses 33 to 68 is Rudra Gita. We'll cover in our subsequent classes. We'll take two classes because it's a lot of verses and each verse has a lot of important points, or at least one important point for sure. So we'll cover these verses in two classes and we'll go from there. Spiritual endeavor question number 1. What is perfect meditation and secret of success? From verse number 15. Number 2, identify Lord Shiva's final instruction as Shankaracharya. Is from verse number 18. Number 3, describe the relationship between Lord Krishna's devotees and Lord Shiva. Comes from verse number 30. Number 4, for next class, if you have not already read, read Canto 4, chapter 24, verses 33 onwards. It's all about Rudra Gita. Any questions, comments, realizations? We have a couple more minutes.
Prabhuji, Lord
Uncle,
Shiva awards benediction to Asuras, which is a formality because they misuse his benediction.
correct.
Whereas he loves Lord Krishna's devotees because their request for not material benediction but spiritual advancement. This is my understanding.
Yeah,
Correct me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, you are absolutely correct.
Thank
you. Abhishek.
Initially, Vidura asked about Prachetas, and for that, Prithu Maharaj story came, and here again he is asking, is that how these discussions come?
Yeah, you are absolutely correct. So we have discussed this at the very start of Canto 4, that Vidura asked the question about Prachetas much earlier. But Maitreya Muni goes on to describe Prithu Maharaj because there were so many learnings from Prithu Maharaj. And before describing Prachetas, he is describing about Rudra Gita because Rudra Gita is definitely very important. We'll read in Canto this chapter 24 that how all should recite the Rudra Gita. So after we finish discussing the Rudra Gita, I will play Gauranga Darshan Das's recording on him reciting all the verses of Rudra Gita. That's an amazing recording. Like so many verses, almost 30 some verses, he's reciting the Rudra Gita because Rudra Gita is important. And then he comes to Pracheta. So he's laying up, Maitreya Muni is laying a foundation. In all those foundations, there are a lot of learnings. Therefore, he's going through the previous steps also, and then coming to Prachetas. Abhishek.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Yeah, it's just about 12 noon to time. We'll stop here. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
you.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone.